Jackie.
Christina, are you able to change my name from the CSD Board of Ed 04 to my name?
Doing it right now.
Thank you, appreciate it.
It's done.
Thank you.
I believe we're missing Lee.
I'll send her the ID just in case.
Thank you.
Okay, I sent it to her.
Thank you, Mary Jane.
You're welcome. Oh, she's on.
She's on. We have everybody? Mark, you here? Mark, are you here?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
hi. Okay.
All right, I need a motion and a second to move into public session.
Motion by Lee.
Second by Eileen.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Christina, would you mind doing the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Christine, would you mind doing roll call?
Mrs. Augulis,
Present?
Ms. Panico,
Here.
Ms. Kennedy,
Present.
Mrs. Napolitano-Ferno,
Present.
Mr. Warshaw,
Present.
Dr. Adams,
Present.
Mr. Kohler-Hefar,
Present.
Ms. Villarreal,
Present.
Mrs. Manzi,
Present.
Mr. Middleman.
Present.
I'm acting District Clerk Pro Temp, and we have Mary Jane on as well, assisting.
Thank you.
You have your speakers on and I could hear Christina echoing. So when somebody else is talking, you got to put it on mute.
Thank you, Christina. I believe that there was a change made to the consent agenda. We're adding on number 26.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Were there any other changes to the agenda?
Yes, I believe the board needs to vote to table on the Schedule 2, 5, F, G, H, and I. The board needs to
Wait. 5G.
5, F, G, H, and I. So Schedule
Okay.
2, Item 5, numbers F, G, H, and I. The board needs to vote to table those.
Okay. Any other changes?
Well, you want to do the vote before we look at anything else?
What I'm doing, Schedule 2 on recommended action.
Correct.
Schedule 2, recommended action appointments, items number 5, F, G, H, and I.
Hold on.
I would suggest that we do it when we get to that point. That's how I thought we would go forward with it.
Because now
Okay.
we're out of order.
Yeah, I would kind of stay on order. I was planning on just when we went to Schedule 2 to
Okay,
make those
you don't want to
tables.
do the changes all at the same time.
Correct.
Is there any way they can quickly send us the MOA for number 26?
It's in the exec session.
It's already there, Lee.
The
It's
one
in the
that Brian
exec
just
session
said?
file attachment.
Oh, Brian put it in there already?
I think Christina added it. on
Okay.
on-
I added the language, the resolution language that Brian sent over to us.
Right.
Did
But
it
the
say,
actual MOA is in the exec session file attachment. It's the CSEA MOA. It's the first one.
Okay. We're going to the minutes of the Board of Education meeting for June 2nd. I need a motion in a second.
I
I'll
did-
motion.
Motion.
I hate to say it, but I don't see it. I'm in an executive session.
An attachment, Lee. Down at the bottom, it should be an attachment.
I'd like to finish my motion for the acceptance of the minutes of the Board of Education meeting for June 2nd. I motioned, I believe I heard Mark motion. Do we have an all in favor?
I didn't read them. so
Aye.
I can't say aye.
So Eileen, are you going to abstain?
Yes, because I didn't read them, so I'm going to abstain from that.
Okay, do we have, Mark? Are you, accepting the minutes of June 2nd?
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
and myself will be 4. So we have 4 yes and 1 abstention. Moving on to conferring tenure. Linda, that would be you.
Yes, with the board's approval, can I just read a short little statement about each teacher, or does the board not want me to do that?
I would like to hear it.
Okay. All right, so it's my pleasure tonight to present to the board a number of candidates for tenure. All of these folks have been through our very rigorous internship program, having been through our academy program for new teachers, and they have significantly impacted our children in Connecticut. So I'm going to begin with Kimberly Croco. She is at Cherokee, so this was written by her principal, Miss Leahy. So Kimberly Croco began her CCSD career 4 years ago, splitting her time between Cherokee and other elementary buildings. As a BCBA, she knows her craft and is relentless in trying all possibilities in improving and shaping students' behavior. Kimberly Croco has shown the ability to be flexible and reflective. Her vast experience and approachableness are a wonderful support for our teachers and families. Her expertise has proven a necessary provision for our students with disabilities. She continues to build the staff's knowledge base of appropriate and positive behavior supports. Kimberly Croco collaborates well with her colleagues and keeps administration informed. She collects extensive data on her students to inform the writing of the behavioral improvement plans and completes CSE and FBA reports with diligence. She's an excellent asset to an instructional support team, always providing suggestions for both individual and whole class positive behavior. Also at Cherokee, Melissa Del Isola is up for tenure. She began her CCSD career at Cherokee as a substitute following her student teaching with one of our finest teachers. Soon after, she became a year-long leave replacement before landing the probationary special education teaching position. Melissa is an excellent planner, preparing lessons that are both challenging and reinforcing for her students. She creates a warm and engaging classroom environment. She nurtures and cares beyond the role as a teacher. She raises the learning expectations and gets results for our most academically and behaviorally challenged students. She volunteers for building activities and is also a mentor to former students. Ms. Del Isola collaborates well with her colleagues and continually refines her craft as a reflective educator. She has been a successful integrated co-teacher and now is a self-contained small class teacher. As a probationary special education teacher at Cherokee for the last 4 years, she brings much passion, professionalism, and love to our school community. Mrs. Kimball writes about Michelle Dominario, is a special education teacher who consistently presents herself in a professional manner. It is evidenced by the rapport she has with her students, staff, and administration that she dedicates herself to the well-being of her students. She began her career in 2016 as a leave replacement for a 15-1 class at Cherokee Street Elementary School. In this position, she demonstrated her desire to learn and master her craft. In 2017, our Connecticut students were fortunate to have Miss Geminario join the Boston Elementary School community as a full-time special education teacher in a 611 class. She has demonstrated her passion and skill while working with the most challenging students. Her positive demeanor is contagious and creates a classroom community that is full of warmth and trust. This year, she joined the CAPS program at BOSTI and has become an integral part of the preschool team. She advocates for her students, is a team player, and collaborates well with her colleagues. She seeks out professional learning experiences, researches best practices, attends conferences, and shares what she learns with others. Ms. Geminario's performance is exemplary. She's an asset to the entire Connecticut community, but most importantly to the special education students and family that she serves. Mr. Moran and Ms. Hanoui write about Ashley Lefebvre. She began at Connecticut 4 years ago, hitting the ground running at the high school and hasn't stopped since. She has made quite a positive impact on students, teachers, administrators, and staff at the high school. She's a team player who goes above and beyond each day, bringing the world language and ELL departments together in support of each other in the school. Ms. Lefebvre works collaboratively with teachers, sharing her expertise and knowledge of both teaching and technology. She's always willing to share ideas, participate in departmental activities, and provide leadership to others. She's a highly effective teacher, constantly seeking new opportunities and strategies to help her students succeed. She uses creative ideas in her classroom, such as a language cafe and various cross-class challenges to engage her students. It is a pleasure to walk into her classroom to see students fully engaged, using the target language and eager to learn. There is always something new and exciting happening in Ms. Lefebvre's class, and her students are invariably the center of the activity. She's made a significant impact on the success of our students in our French program. Because of the quality of her teaching skills, enthusiasm, and her high level of engagement, more students have even chosen to learn French as an additional language of instruction. Outside of the classroom, she participates in high school related activities and events. She is the 11th grade class advisor and is always willing to lend a hand, making herself available as often as she can, and most especially when it involves students. Mr. Liccato writes about Miss Michelle Leach. She is a competent and professional special education teacher who is receptive to learning the most effective methods of delivering instruction. Her lessons continually evolve as Ms. Leach strives to develop the most effective methods of instruction. Her collaborative approach complements to team teaching within her inclusion setting. In addition, she combines excellent lesson planning, structure, and organization with an enthusiastic approach. Ms. Leach is an active participant in curriculum initiatives as she invites feedback from her peers and looks for professional development opportunities to enhance her lesson design. She sets high expectations for her students and artfully differentiates instruction for a variety of learning styles and abilities. She's a child advocate and a role model for our students. Ms. Bailey at OBMS writes about Ms. Erica Pincentini. Erica came to us with experience teaching in the Bronx and a strong background in English language arts. Erica holds certifications in students with disabilities 1 through 12 and general education English language arts 7 through 12. Erica began at Oakdale Bohemian Middle School in 2016, and she has been an all-star from the start. She uses her strong content knowledge along with her teaching experience with technology to create dynamic lessons. Her students are highly engaged and empowered in their own learning. Erica finds ways to connect with her students and goes out of her way to reach them. She differentiates her instruction to meet each student's needs and is mindful of highlighting their strengths. I've been told by several veteran teachers who have taught with Erica in an ICT setting that they are better teachers because of her influence. She is simply a natural in the classroom, and her students have and will continue to benefit from her ability. Erica communicates regularly with parents and her colleagues about the well-being of the students. She contributes positively to the school culture by remaining actively involved and by always being available to participate in activities and events. Erica is the co-advisor of the Community Service Club, which is another way she offers our students opportunities to get involved in meaningful service learning experiences. Her commitment to her students and to her craft is impressive. I am confident that Erica will continue to be an invaluable member of the Connecticut learning community and a positive influence in the lives of our children. Ms. Bailey also writes about Ms. Stephanie McNamara. After completing several successful leave replacement positions, we were thrilled to have Stephanie join the OBMS family in 2016. Stephanie possesses a range of certifications, 1 through 6 general education and students with disabilities, 5 through 9 general education mathematics and students with disabilities mathematics, social studies special class extension, and 7 through 12 students with disabilities generalists. Stephanie has taught various content areas during her past 4 years, and she has welcomed the challenge. She has dedicated a great deal of time enhancing her knowledge and developing successful instructional strategies. Stephanie's commitment to her students and to her craft is commendable. She supports and advocates for her students throughout every aspect of their intellectual, social, and emotional development. Stephanie differentiates her instruction to meet each student's needs and goes out of her way to ensure that they are grasping the concepts. She communicates regularly with her parents and her colleagues about the well-being of her students. Stephanie is actively involved in the entire school experience. She participates in activities and events outside of the school day. Mr. Liccato writes about Vanessa Perry. Ms. Perry has taught special education at Ronkonkoma Middle School for 3 years. She has a professional rapport with her students and interacts in a manner that fosters student learning. She's gone above and beyond her role as a classroom teacher and has made significant improvements in our building's website and sought out many administrative responsibilities during her building leader internship. Vanessa took interest in Ronkonkoma Middle School's history as she coordinated a variety of committees whose purpose was to involve students in learning deeper about their school and their community. Ms. Perry has sought out professional development to further develop her skills as an ICT teacher. She's had a collaborative approach to team teaching and is always interested in feedback. Ms. Perry has participated in STEM initiatives and assisted a team of students in an international competition at a neighboring school. Ms. Perry can be counted on as a point person in the building as she possesses an innate leadership ability. Ms. Kimball writes about Raven Savage. As a special education preschool teacher for the Connecticut Alternative Preschool at Boston Elementary, Ms. Savage has provided a strong early childhood education experience for her students. Working collaboratively in an ICT setting along with her colleagues from SCOPE, Ms. Savage plans creative and differentiated lessons to support students' needs. She has excellent instructional skills and uses a variety of methods to support students in groups and individually. She has frequent contact with parents, keeping them informed of their child's progress as well as any concerns. Ms. Savage is knowledgeable about the CPSE process and effectively communicates her students' needs and performance levels with the team. She is patient and kind, building rapport with her students. She also has built strong relationships with the entire preschool team, earning their respect through her professionalism and contributions to the program. She collaborates with her colleagues about curriculum and events and communicates well with administrators. Ms. Savage is a respected faculty member at Boston Elementary. She's an integral part of the success of the CAP program of the district. She's an asset to the Connecticut Central School District and the Special Education Department. And finally, Ms. Bailey writes about Ms. Amanda Stabe. Amanda came to us with 3 years of teaching experience in Flushing, New York, and a strong background in mathematics. Amanda holds several certifications: Students with Disabilities Generalist 7 through 12, Students with Disabilities Mathematics 7 through 12, General Education Mathematics 7 through 12, Mathematics Extension 5 through 6, Severe or Multiple Disabilities Annotation, Students with Disabilities 1 through 6. Amanda began at Oakdale Bohemian Middle School in 2016. She was committed to continually learning and growing professionally. Amanda instinctually knows how to connect with her students, and as a result, they demonstrate good, consistent effort. Amanda supports and advocates for her students through every aspect of their intellectual, social, and emotional development. She differentiates her instruction to meet each student's needs and is passionate about helping them feel successful. Amanda is a part of a strong ICT team, and students have benefited from her extra support. She communicates regularly with parents and her colleagues about the well-being of her students. Amanda contributes positively to the school culture by remaining actively involved and by always being available to participate in activities and events. She is the co-advisor of the Community Service Club, which is another way that Amanda offers our students opportunity to get involved in meaningful service learning experiences. She has been a positive addition to OBMS and has already made a significant impact in the lives of our children. Board of Education of the Connecticut Central School District. This is the class of 2020's teachers who are up for tenure tonight.
Thank you, Linda. We're moving on to, that was beautifully said. Thank you for all those that contributed to the beautiful sentiments that were said about those that are being tenured. We're moving on to the conferring of the tenure. Is that where I need a motion in a second, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion in a second to confer those that Dr. Adams had recommended for tenure. I'll motion. Is anybody else there? Linda, do you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I see everybody else in the room.
I hear you, Mylan.
I'll make a motion.
So
So,
Lee can second. Lee, if you'll second.
I'll second.
do we have an all in favor?
Aye.
All right, stepped away. Aye.
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 Do we have 5 ayes?
Yes, we do.
Okay, moving on to, congratulations,
to all the
everyone.
teachers who just joined our team permanently as tenured teachers. We're blessed to have you in this community.
Thank you. I agree. We're moving on to Connecticut High School graduation, save the date. This is a discussion item. I believe, Linda, you might have put this on.
I did, and I can't find my calendar. So
I believe it was July 22nd.
yes, Wednesday, July 22nd. So everybody may have read that the governor has permitted small graduation ceremonies beginning June 26th of no larger than 150 folks in total environment, provided that it is outside. That would take us approximately 10 ceremonies to get our students to graduate. And having been on the meeting with Mr. Moran and about 105 very actively involved parents and students, nobody really wants our students to graduate in separate ceremonies. So we're hoping that if we hit opening level 4 sometime in mid-July, we may be able to have a full-blown ceremony the way we normally have, even if it's potentially that we only have 2 tickets for each child if we're not allowed to go over a certain amount. So we're asking the community to save the date of Wednesday, July 22nd. If we have to have a split ceremony because we're not able to do that many folks, we were looking to do something on either Friday night or Saturday morning of that same week so that we could have a morning and an afternoon so that it wouldn't be too hot. So Mr. Moran has sent that home to the community. Mr. Moran is also planning a smaller ceremony for our kids who will not be here because they are becoming part of military service. Unfortunately, we were looking to plan that inside, but we have some legal guidance that came out just today from the Department of Health in New York State that says inside gatherings can be no more than 10 participants. So Mr. Moran and I will have a discussion tomorrow as to how we can do something smaller outside, socially distanced, so that we can have something for those kids who will not be able to be with us in July.
Just please extend an invite to the Board of Education to attend both ceremonies for July 22nd and also for our military students.
Absolutely, we will certainly do that.
Thank you. We're moving on to the Board of Education meeting schedule. Board members, do you have any questions or concerns on the dates that are provided?
I do, Mylin. We talked about this a number of times, actually, that the agenda, we wanted the agenda done on a certain time so that the board had time to look it over and not the day before. What was happening is the meeting was on Tuesday and sometimes the agenda wasn't going live until Monday. That's not enough time. So we talked about moving our board meetings to Thursday. If you look at all the dates on Thursdays, none of them are affected by holidays, and we would actually have 24 meetings in the year. And then we could policy where the meeting has to be, the agenda items have to be on the agenda by, say, 4 o'clock on a Monday. This way we'd have Tuesday and Wednesday and part of the day Thursday even to look it over and make sure that we had all the information before going to a live meeting and having to table things. So I want to suggest that we move all the dates to Thursday as discussed.
So you want to move our board meetings to the Thursday instead of a Tuesday?
Yep, like we discussed in the last time. So that, as I just said, so that the agenda items on there and the board members have a chance to look it over and not just a couple of, 24 hours or less sometimes. And if you
So-
look at the date, every Thursday, there's 2 in every month that we could do and not, we're not affected by any snow days or holidays or anything like that.
Okay, so I'm trying to pull up the calendar. I don't know why I'm having issues with my computer. So we'll have to just go back to see if there's any conflict with school events, because most times school events are sort of created around Board of Education meetings. So we'll have to look back and see if
Right,
there's
and
any
most-
potential conflicts.
Right, well, we usually do our calendar first. So, again, I looked at all the dates. July, you have a choice. You could do the 2nd or the 16th, or the 9th and the 23rd. August, you got the 13th and 27th. September, you got the 10th and the 24th. October 8th and 22nd. November 5 and 19. December 3 and 17. January 7 and 21. And 17. February the 11th and the 25th. March, the same dates. April 8 and 22. And May 7 and 21. And sorry, June 3 and 17.
Okay, does any other board members want to weigh in on the,
I think
Dates.
we should wait to see who's on the board, to see if everyone can make it Thursday, because right now, everyone running for the board knows Tuesday. So I think we should wait on that.
We can table it. Then we don't approve the calendar yet.
okay, I could agree to that.
I'm fine with either way. For me, I'm gonna have to take off some Tuesdays or I'm gonna have to take off some Thursdays. It's not gonna be any more one than the other, so I'm fine with however you do it.
And the only reason I'm saying that, Jackie, is so that you have time to look at the agenda minutes too. So,
No, that is true. That is true. This getting it on Friday and sometimes not getting the paperwork until after that, and then I don't have time to actually go
And-
through it, and I'm ripping it apart all day today. It was crazy.
we don't get paid for this. We don't want to do it on a weekend. And definitely on the weekend, I don't know about you guys, but the weekend I'd like to set aside for my family. If we do it on a Thursday and we get the agenda set by Monday, then we have our weekends with our families.
Mark, do you have anything you'd like to add to the conversation?
Is Mark there?
Mark? Okay, we'll table that. Let's move on to district-wide mental health staffing. That would be Linda.
I just ask that we vote on having the reorg meeting on July 7th so that we can set that agenda. Unless you want to, as Mrs. Kennedy just said, anybody who's running would know that it would be on that first week in July. So we just need a reorg date. You don't have to accept the whole calendar right now, but we do need a reorg date.
Okay,
We do that after the votes are counted?
The reorg date is for the district, not for the voter, for the people on the board. They have to get things going. So are you asking to continue that Tuesday, the 7th? I don't have a problem with that.
And I don't have a problem with the 7th or the 9th. I just need to have a date so that we can start building it's a very big agenda.
I believe the 7th I could agree to. That would be fair.
Fine with me.
So let's take a motion in a second to vote for the July 7th as our reorg date, and we will table the rest of the calendar. Can I get a motion or a second?
Motion?
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
I'm gonna say no.
Jackie?
I am fine with just the one Tuesday, the 7th.
Okay. Lee? Lee?
Yeah, yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you an aye for that? Just
Yes.
the July 7th? Mark?
Yes.
I don't know where Mark is. Is he on the thing?
He's here.
He said he's on mute.
He is muted. I don't know.
Hello?
Mark, are you
Hello?
okay?
Now
We
start
can,
over.
Mark, are you
Hello?
okay? Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I
Mark,
was
are you,
talking for 5 minutes also, so I don't know what's going on. Somebody put me on mute, but I'm okay with whatever you guys want to do with both things.
okay, so we'll do July 7th and we'll table the rest of the calendar.
All right, before we continue on,
Who's in charge of
Wait,
putting me on mute?
I just want to confirm. So we have 4 yeses and Eileen, you said no or you abstained?
no,
Okay, so Eileen is a no and everybody else is a yes.
right,
What did you say, Mark?
at least said. But before
Who
you,
keeps putting me on mute? I mean, why is this happening?
huh?
Why was I on mute before and I kept talking and talking?
I don't know, Mark.
This, Okay. All right.
I don't have control of the meeting. I don't know who's in control.
You're in control of your own little on and off button.
He was not on mute on his side, Lee. What he's saying is someone else put him on mute.
Oh, I didn't know they could do that.
Host can do that, yes. Before we go on to public comment though,
We're not going on to mental, whoa, we still have another topic.
oh, the
We have
mental,
the district wide mental health staffing.
sorry.
Dr. Adams, would you like to start that topic, please? Linda?
I'm sorry, you sounded so wonderful, and I was talking to no one. There's been a question as to whether the mental health staffing of the district has been diminished in any way, or if we were looking to abolish positions in any way. And I actually asked Ms. Santo, who is in the room with us as a guest, just to be here tonight. Since the 6 years that I've been in Connecticut, we've actually enhanced mental health across the district. We've added back some psychology positions that had been lost before I arrived. At both the middle schools, we increased our guidance counselors so that we had 1 per grade level versus 2 when I originally arrived. And that would allow our YFS worker to have a more active role with counseling with our students. And we have added additional YFS workers in the elementary buildings. And I don't know if Gail wants to be part of the discussion. I'm glad that she could be here tonight. And I know Jackie also had a question. So Gail, if you'd like to jump in about our mental health and where we are right now. Gail, if you're speaking, you're muted as well.
I apologize. It's not very cooperative. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Dr. Adams is correct. Our intent to do our preventative measures was to ensure that we had both nursing staff, enhanced social workers at each of the buildings, and then also the increase of the psychologists as well. The word diminished this year, it does not pertain. No positions were cut. However, I will speak to the medical realm of mental health. Given the size of the school Cherokee, we had originally put on a 0.5 position because that building, as we all know, is sizable in enrollment. It has approximately 568 students, and it's only housed by 1 nurse. So if you look proportionately, all elementary buildings have 1 full-time nurse. However, Cherokee is markedly the largest in size. So what I do is I have a 0.5 nurse assigned to that. Excuse me, no, I don't have a 0.5 nurse. Forgive me, that's the social worker. We had proposed that on the budget. So that building, while it's lost the assistant principal position, the nurse's health office is still only manned by 1 full nurse. Now, it is doable, but it's an arduous position. And if you can imagine, babies from K through 5 are less independent in their abilities to assess or to self-medicate. We have standing orders from the district physician, Dr. Gill. Students grade 5 and above are able to carry their inhalers, for example, and they are able even to use EpiPens under supervision, not for our babies. So while it's a misnomer that it's all Band-Aids and boo-boos for the elementary, it isn't. We have marked needs and we have children with medical conditions, and we have insulin pumps in district, all which require day-to-day monitoring. And when I say day-to-day, I'll even go so far as to say multiple times a day, because of course those students' conditions change as the day proceeds and they're in need of food or some type of sustenance. So with that said, no one has been cut, but we did have to take the 0.5, or it was recommended that we withhold the 0.5 recommendation for the building size of Cherokee this year, given the budgetary condition or status.
Gail, can I ask you a question?
Yes, madam.
Okay, this is what I brought to Linda and the board. I actually called them up in regards to, I called and emailed in regards to adding YFS. I want to try to add a YFS if possible to where you guys would think it's necessary. I know that there are other board members who agreed with me. This is very important, especially in light of taking away some positions. We always said we wanted to increase mental health. So like Cherokee had the 1 and the 0.5,
That's right.
but other schools that have 200 or 300 children
Right.
have 1.
Yes. So you're
So the way I see it is if you have a school that's almost 600, you should technically have 2.
yes,
Two
so-
full people. At least that's what I would like to see.
So if I could, I understand where you're going and you're absolutely correct in your assessment, and I could give you my impressions. Because again, we're going to look at enrollment and building size. Now, so leaving the nurses, that's one part of the mental health wheel. The social workers, you're absolutely correct. Every elementary school has a full-time social worker except for Pearl. Pearl was reduced to 0.5, and yes, it's a small school, but I needed to assist the social worker support in Cherokee because Cherokee is so sizable. So I took from Pearl, and we have 1.5, because I'm sure the board members remember that in addition to individual and group counseling and the building climate assessment and overall programmatic needs of the building, elementary youth and family service coordinators are also responsible for doing push-in lessons in grades K through 5 to meet the health requirements of the state. So they're not only pushing the classroom, which serves as a dual purpose, they can assess children, but that limits their contact time outside of the classroom.
Well,
So
what about the other schools, like the elementary schools? I know that it's not just Cherokee. I know that, and I could be wrong, maybe you can correct me. Is Sycamore the other school that houses, and I thought it was, that houses the inclusion, the self-contained
yes, it
on the
does.
south side?
Sycamore, so comparatively speaking, we're looking at a building of Cherokee, about 568, and it too has self-contained and special needs students.
Okay,
So
what is Sycamore? That's what I'm saying is, would you be for, what I had looked at was, if Pearl needs 1 full person, then that's fine. But if they just need the 0.5, then maybe give the 0.5 help to Sycamore, where it's right there.
you mean if you
I
were,
just feel like the distance is easier for that person to travel, and
Well-
also that school could get the extra help having a 1.5. Do you understand?
yes,
if-
yes.
That's why I had asked Linda,
Yes, yes,
like another meeting to look at caseloads to see
Yeah,
if that would go
and
over.
I apologize. I'm just doing this. I thought we were going to talk more about programming, but I'm absolutely prepared. I see where you're going. Comparatively, so you're looking for from Cherokee 568 with 1.5 because I take a half away from Pearl. So I leave Pearl with only 0.5. And no, Miss White has asked me, because if you look at the needs of Idle Hour, they're comparable in size, almost comparable in constitution. And there is a part-time psychologist, almost full-time. I think it's a 0.8 now in Pearl, but a 0.5. So she doesn't have a full-time person in either capacity. And I have a full-time social worker in Idle Hour. To answer your question about Sycamore, it has 419 students, and it only has 1 full-time social worker, but I have no 0.5 to aid or assist because Pearl has been reduced to 0.5. So if you're thinking of adding a 0.5, then that is the only way that could be done. I have nowhere to.
Well, I'm actually going to ask the board, which is what I had told Linda this afternoon, and I had spoken to some of the board members separately in regards to if we could work on mental health, which I had said at the last few meetings. You
Yes,
gave an excellent presentation. Thank you so much for coming to our meeting a few weeks ago. Your presentation was excellent. The fact that you were able to budget that money to work forward for this year
yes.
for the kids and work on their mental health and pandemic is exceptional. But
Thank-
what I want to do is make sure that these kids going back to school,
Yes.
they may have more issues or more things that they need to talk to a social worker for. Now, I know I've been told that there are psychologists in the elementary schools and there's extra help, but I know from my own experiences as a parent in some of these schools and as talking to other parents in some of the other schools,
Mhm.
I personally would be 100% for putting a full-time person at Pearl if Pearl needs it, because you are right. If Idle Hour has it and they're very close and comparable in size, my whole point was, and I don't expect you to have the numbers because I asked for this late last, like Friday, and it's late at night. So I didn't expect anybody to have it this week. But my whole thing was if we looked at caseloads, which school needs it? Where is the necessity? Although
Well-
I feel like when these kids go back, there may be more necessities in each school.
Well, Madam,
So-
you are so correct. If I may tell you, firstly, you're astute in your distinction between roles. Whereas we group all mental health providers collaboratively together where appropriate, their roles are also distinct. Psychologists primarily mandated services and assessments, and then they assist support. Social workers are the non-mandated population, with supporting mandated cases by history, but it's a handful. So their roles are distinct. The social worker is pre-referral and pre-classification, and then the nurses do support the child in their entirety. So, and then school counselors, if I may say, we once called them guidance counselors. Now the state prefers school counselors. Their primary role, although they're providing social and emotional support when able, their goal is to guide and drive the child academically, meeting that component of the child. So I'm saying all of this for a reason. I know that Pearl would benefit from a full-time because we're returning from a pandemic. And as you said, because the inherent roles of each person is different, we're bringing in, from an experience such as a pandemic, additional anxieties and pressures that we have yet to assess. And just to give the board assurance, and thank you for the recognition about ruler, but I've been successful. I've applied, filled out the application for 9 out of 10 buildings, and we are set for a 2-year commitment for the social emotional program, which will be collaborative in nature. Each building has at least 3 people on the team, so it couldn't be a more timely time to do that. But now go back to the pandemic. At the beginning of this year, I plan to work with counselors, Mr. Bonadonna, with a psychologist, and we need to do a preliminary assessment at the building is how are our children returning? And how is our staff returning? How are they going to acclimate? Remember, we were talking about stressors and anxiety. So I raised this for one reason, and I didn't have the opportunity to speak to the superintendent, but since you're asking me openly, I will tell you the area that I see the need because of the distinction between roles is one person. If each middle school were to have an additional 0.5, if you look proportionately at the high school, we have 1,900 children, and I have 4 YFS coordinators there. At a building of 711 and 615 respectively, the 2 middle schools, yes, we have school counselors, but they're academic and supportive in nature, but their focus is specific. Remember, before Mr. Croco, I too began writing the guidance plan, fully aware of their role, but yet those people with their burden and curriculum writing, curriculum and scheduling and supporting the children, they're not assessing the immediate. They don't have the time for the immediate assessment of the social emotional well-being of those children. So one social worker to cover 3 grades, working in tandem with school counselors in this time, proportionately, I think is a large role to ask. So if you were asking what do I think would enhance the department, can we move forward? Yes. But if you were able to increase each middle school by 0.5, I think we would have more individual social emotional support at each grade level. The school counselors would be looking at the academic performance. And then if you look at equitably across the district, I'm not talking about burden of responsibility. I'm talking about the parity between contact time with students. One person with 900 children, you're more reactionary. I'm trying to take the department in its continual path of preventative measures. When we go back to school, we're going to assess the re-entry needs of students and staff, ladies and gentlemen, because it's going to be an adjustment for all. There's going to be that population that is thrilled to come back and they resume a sense of normalcy, quote unquote, and a schedule. There will be other students that will have difficulty transitioning back. Furthermore, we don't know what type of schedule they've maintained for almost a 4-month period. So that structure is going to be transitional, and then any impacts of any regression, etc. That impacts the whole child. And then thereafter, we're going to immediately start this July, our training for the social emotional support to help the children and staff, I remind you, how to monitor and regulate emotions, which have been proven statistically that impact the child's overall well-being, their learning aptitude, the climate of the building, as well as the culture. So that is my presentation off the cuff of my head.
So let me ask you, what exactly would your number be for the high school then? Because I would be 100% on board with that
High
too.
school would stay as is. I'm requesting, if you could give me a 1.0 for the middle schools, 0.5 in OBMS and 0.5 in RMS, you would have now 1.5 social workers amongst 3 grade levels working on the social emotional needs of the children, while the counselors focus on the academic. That's more proportionately in line to what's being provided at the high school with.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If at the high school level, we have we have a need for it too, because what you're saying is we only have 4 there.
Yes, but if I had to 4, I have reassigned staff. We have some very interesting initiatives planned for next year.
Okay.
So I can manage with the 4 at the high school. I'm asking you my true professional opinion, and I'm sure the principals would concur. One person cannot do the same over 800. And if we know what the terrible tweens are like in the early teenage years, the children are in conflict. They're trying to be independent, yet they're opposing and they want the structure as well, right?
Well, I'm 100% on board with you. I have a middle schooler. I know what you're saying.
Yes. So
But I would say that the reason that I brought up, just so you know, the reason I was so in tune to Sycamore and Cherokee was because I had looked at the fact that if you have taken out an we took the 0.5 assistant principal out of Sycamore, and we took the full-time principal, assistant principal, the positions were abolished. I just had felt that if you gave another YFS, where the social and emotional needs are going to be what a lot of, I would think, assistant principals have had to deal with these young age groups. I thought that at that young grade level, it would be beneficial for both of those schools, since those schools just lost the extra personnel.
Excuse me, I would never disagree with you. I was just trying to be frugally responsible or fiscally responsible. If you were telling me what is my optimal need, because in all sincerity, I forgot 2 things. One, I've already met with the staff that has been assigned for next year. And we were talking about the programs that we want to roll out, or the initiatives, but also the impact, to your point, devoid of the dean's role, whom they worked in collaboration with, right? If there is a DASA complaint, then they would bring their findings to the dean would confer with the principal, and then ensure that a consequence was given. That networking is gone, and that third AP is gone as well. So will that be felt at the service level frontline 100%? Because I don't want to have the community leave the impression that people will be scurried, it won't be organized, but it's less contact people and follow-up, less administrative contact and support for the staff. So rather than going to that point person, they will have to now look to the few that are there for the mass.
So Gail, I'm glad you touched on that. So as of September, we're going to be missing our Dean of Students and 2 APs. So what I'm hearing you saying is that shouldn't we add additional staff because we're sort of down in one component, and maybe we should make up for it in another component?
What I'm saying is, as far as the high school, I'm agreeing with Jackie that the staff or the building will feel remiss or devoid of both the dean.
No, I understand that. So wouldn't that merit the need to hire more staff as far as YFS workers to sort of fill the void?
For the high school?
Correct.
Would it take the burden off the current caseload? Yes. because
Okay.
because they are more reactionary than preventionist, and I'm trying to shift that to no fault of their own. There are just so many students.
All right,
with-
and my other question is too,
Yeah.
so based on the per capita, if we look at Cherokee, we look at Sycamore, so
Yeah.
per capita for OBMS, RMS, and at the high school, would those per capita numbers align?
No, so I would recommend an addition of 0.5 to each of the middle schools. And the only thing I neglected to say, ladies and gentlemen, because Sycamore and Jackie and Mylan, to your respective points, because Sycamore is so large, Miss Michelson, my social worker assigned to that building, is not able to meet also.
No, I'm sorry, I should have elaborated a bit.
What I'm saying
And
is,
this is what my
I-
question was with the intent of putting in the additional 0.5s. So I should really probably back up with what I was saying. So
Oh, I
with the additional, the 0.5s,
Mhm.
does it now align with per capita? I'm sorry, I should have opened with saying that.
No, that's okay. So the 0.5s at where? In the middle school?
Yeah, when we add the 0.5s.
Each of the middle school, yes. And then to Jackie's point, what I neglected to say is I pull Miss McNally from Idle Hour for 2 days a week to assist in the health instruction at Sycamore, because Sycamore is so large with its actual population and then special support. One person cannot do both, so I pull from Miss Rubin. You see, so I pulled from Pearl, I pulled from Idle Hour to support the larger building. So if you're asking, would each middle school benefit with the 0.5 to each? Absolutely. Are you looking to have parity and support?
Oh, no. I support the 0.5s. I would just wanted to make sure by adding those additional 0.5s, does it balance all our, so I see that our elementaries may be balanced. Again, from what I'm hearing, what you're saying, we'll probably know more in September, and there might be a possibility, of course, adding more staff.
Okay.
If we're looking at the middle school, if we're looking at, middle school per capita towards the high school, are
Yes.
we aligned with our staff per ratios?
That absolutely would make it aligned
Okay.
and relieve the burden of one person to meet 3 grade levels of almost 900 students in one building, or 800, yes.
But it sounds to me that we also need to add staff to the high school. And it sounds to me that we possibly may need to add 2 additional YFS to the high school.
Well, it depends on the administrative structure, because the staff will absolutely be looking for administrative direction, and their networking protocol, meaning the dean and one of the APs are no longer present. So they would have to rely on the 2 APs and or the principal. So to me, that is when you interrupt or cut short that networking process, that burdens them more in bureaucratic follow-up and how do I handle this, rather than collaborating and moving to the next child. So it's far more cumbersome in trying to receive administrative support. Because the problem, I'm going to be very frank, the social workers cannot garner or cannot give a consequence, but they work in collaboration. They're the intermediary, and they provide the counseling to remediate that behavior. But
No, I understand that piece. And from what I gather, the APs did serve sort of that role in some respects.
in some respects, yes.
So that's why I was kind of
But
associating it to that. Maybe I understand what you're saying, the other piece of the management,
Yes,
overall as a
100%.
point of leadership to go to, if a child is in crisis. I completely understand that point. My concern is going into this school year. Again, there's so many unknowns. We're down some staff, some key staff.
Yes.
And even putting one additional YFS worker at the high school may help with some of the challenges that we may be facing in September.
100%, madam. I would never deny that.
I would be for that too, but I also want to make it clear that we have no idea yet what's going to happen in September. So if September, the kids go back to school And if that is, and I'm praying that they are, but
Mhm.
if that is, and we can, and for no health risks, and they're able to go back, and everything is as it should be, then there is a good chance we will be revisiting, some of the administration and what needs to be
Absolutely.
put in place. I'm not going to say that that's not true, because I said that the day that I made some of the decisions that I made. I
And-
will absolutely be looking out for the kids. They won't be going back into school without supervision, that's for sure.
Thank
But
you.
I am for bringing in YFS regardless. Like,
And
even
my-
if
that was my
administration's
point.
put back, I would rather spend money on mental health than
Yeah.
spend it in other places. And
So-
I've been saying this for months. Gail, when I met with you and we spoke, that was my big thing. I want to make
100%.
sure that the key piece, that kids get back to school and they have this extra support. Some maybe support they don't have at home.
And if
Well,
I,
that's why I thought regardless whether or not we bring in maybe one administrator role, to me, that's sort of separate.
Mylene,
Even
you're
if-
100% correct. Please understand.
No. What I also want to also touch on what Jackie just said too.
Mhm.
We don't know what we're looking at in September as far as if it's going to be a traditional classroom setting. Are we looking at hybrids? We really don't know. But regardless of what that model is, I think it's important that if we do hire a person or two in any of our buildings, to have them at least touch base with kids, so that, sort of set up a schedule to talk to children every day, whether they're on the spectrum or not, just so that there's, this communication there, that there's people, the kids know that, hey, if you're having any difficulty, we're here for you. Just touching base, introduce yourself.
Mylene, you couldn't be more correct. This entire process that we've all experienced as a community has impacted all. If you even look at, assess your own disposition, are you sometimes more short-sighted? I'm talking about myself, because this has been a marked change to our existence. We're confined, we're told what we can do and what we cannot do. So if I may say, I had no other agenda other than explaining the networking that the staff does with the administration. However, if you were to ask me pointedly, Gail, is this impacting the caseload and the responsibility of the remaining 4 social worker? 100% emphatically yes. Because, as I said before, I don't want them to be reactionary. I need them to be more of a preventionist. They're very skilled, they're very astute, but when you have a building that size, I want to get ahead of the curve. That's why we're bringing the assessment to the greatest extent possible. So yes, that would help the high schools. The middle schools would need to be, for parity's sake, increased by 0.5. And if you could get the 0.5 for Cherokee and Sycamore, so I can return the support to Idlehour and Pearl, then you would have complete symmetry, for lack of a better word.
Gail, I just want to say also, and Mylene, I don't know if I told you this, the YFS workers that you have working are doing an excellent job. I
Thank
know as a parent myself, they've actually called and checked on the kids.
Yes.
I know that my neighbors have told me, and people on my block and people in the neighborhood have all said to me, they've gotten the phone calls. They've kept up with checking on them once a week, once every 2 weeks. They've been exceptional. And I really hope they know that we appreciate it.
They do, and I tell them repeatedly, and I'd also, they even go so far as to donate their own time. Now, the district, and thank you to the Board of Ed and central office, that foods were available in the cafeteria on Monday and Wednesdays for parents to pick up. But we had many families that weren't able to get the transport to the district. And before I was able to coordinate that, we had staff taking their own time in their own cars, delivering foods to help those families quite anonymously and without any recognition from me. And then additionally, now I've even reached a community member company came to me, and they would like to remain anonymous, but I'm going to send them a letter of appreciation on the district's behalf, and I'll share it with you, but they'd rather remain anonymous because they're very stellar and they truly give for no other reason but to be generous. And if I tell you, we now have 15 families being brought foods from the district food, because we do have staff on pay, right? Being paid as far as transportation and aid. So I coordinated with Mr. Garverick and this outside agency in tandem with the high school, the cafeteria staff, and that company, and the food is delivered, and we even have a nurse or two following the minibus and greeting the parents at the family. So I'd say that no recognition of my own. The staff are committed, they're passionate, and they do for the families when no one knows what they're doing. And that's the relationship that will enhance the community. So when we get them back to school, they'll help our babies more. But we have a talented, committed group.
I think I wouldn't be alone in this if you wouldn't mind adding the Board of Education to your letter as an appreciation.
Oh, yes, absolutely, madam. Absolutely.
I'm sure, I don't think my Board of Ed would. be opposed to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I actually know a few of the YFS workers that I've spoken to,
That
and
are
I
one-
know how they've gone above, I will not name them, but I know that they have gone above and beyond. They have driven out east, they have driven out west on their own time, and really, they're exceptional. And
Yeah,
what they've done for the kids and what they will do for the kids continually when school goes back. That's why I'm saying in this position and who and what they do for these kids, it really should be something that we look into adding so that they can do more for each child individually, rather than, like you said, having to, really, for a lack of better phrase, spreading themselves thin with
yes,
each
yes.
child.
Well, this is the time that the need is there. So you are very astute, because if there's any time, this is the time. I think we would all agree, because our children, our babies, and to me, even someone who's 6 feet, we've got students with goatees at the high school, but they're still someone's baby, and they're returning after a market adjustment. So we need to assess, we need to support, we need to guide and direct. And the more staff to student, the lower the ratio, the more effective they'll be. And
Gail,
so-
I'm even for if you come up with something for the parents once school starts again, if there's something we can do for the parents, because I'm sure this has been very, very difficult for some parents. Like I said, as a parent of two, a middle schooler and an elementary child, I've told Linda and the rest of the board that it's not easy. It's not easy. They are getting rougher and harder
Yeah,
as the summer is approaching.
I can relate. I have walked the walk. Yes, madam. Absolutely. I will earmark that, and will be a discussion in our next department meeting. We do have some thoughts though, so we are with you in that recommendation, because it will help the child, the whole family. You're absolutely correct.
Thank you so much, Gail. Thank you for being here tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome. Are there any other questions?
Does any other board members have questions for Gail?
No, Gail, I think that what you said is very informative, and thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And if I may just say again, when I send you a copy of the letter, we just can't say thank you to that company publicly, but I'd like you to know who it is. The person deserves, the family deserves the recognition, maybe privately, right?
Absolutely. Please add our name.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for all you're doing for the kids of Connecticut.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Greatly appreciated.
Okay.
Okay, so we're moving on to public comment.
No, wait, Mylin, I know Jackie wanted to bring something up tonight.
Oh, okay,
I
sorry.
want a motion. I made a mistake and I take ownership. I did some research. I spoke to, like I said, a bunch of yous, and I did get the information from other districts. I did get the brochures. I did see what positions, and across the board for Long Island, they do have a curriculum assistant super, and they do have the assistant super of business as two key positions. So I would like to motion to reinstate the position of assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction.
I can motion to that. I'll second motion to that. So
You have
we
to
have
ask
a
for that to be a
motion.
revote first.
I would like it to be a revote. Since I was one of the no's, I'd like to vote it and change my vote to a yes, to keep it.
Okay.
So you need someone else that voted to get rid of him to also agree with you there, so I'll second that.
Thank you.
And
Thank
now we
you,
can
Eileen.
revote.
So here we go again. We're changing votes. Is that what you're saying?
Well, just for the curriculum, assistant superintendent
Mark,
curriculum, and
I
that
made a
was,
mistake and I own it because I did some
Whatever.
research.
Whatever. Just do what you should do. Do whatever you
Okay.
want to do. just whatever.
Okay, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm
So
going
you want to
to,
vote to bring the position back, right, Jackie?
just that position for right now,
Just that one
absolutely.
position, correct?
Yes, I
And
feel
that
it's a
was
key
because after all
position.
that research,
After I did
you
the
realized that-
research and I sent
yeah.
it to you guys, I sent that I had West
Yep.
Islip showed it to me. And some of the other school districts, Oyster Bay, I looked into Sachem, I looked into a whole bunch of different ones. I've
Right.
done my research and it's one of the positions that I'd like to bring back. I admit when I make a mistake. And,
I think
you know,
I think I made a mistake too.
being new, I'm still learning. And let me tell you, I'm thinking that it's going to take all 3 years to learn. But you
Yeah.
do, no, it does. It takes a while to
No, I know.
actually get your
I'm
bearings.
here
But
2 years, I know.
but I do want to bring the position back. I do think the person in the district in the position is an excellent person, and I want him with us for the new year if he'll stay.
Agreed. So, Mylene, you have to ask for everyone to vote on it now.
Okay, so I need a motion in a second to reinstate the position of Assistant Curriculum for Education.
Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and, Linda, what's the actual title? So we don't screw this up.
The Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction.
Okay, so I'd like to take a vote to reinstate the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. All motion.
The position, and then the
Position.
person. Do we have to do the person separately? Or no, that's automatic, Linda?
We're reinstating.
He automatically gets that position because.
That's what I thought. Okay, so we do it as the position, and then he automatically gets it back. Okay,
Correct, yeah,
I mean, if it goes through.
Right, the position.
So
is
I'm a
I'll make a
yes.
motion to do that.
I'm going to second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Lee? Lee?
Come on, Lee, you should be a big eye on this one.
Mark?
I think Lee is muted by the host.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm a definite
Yeah.
I'm
aye, you
staying.
know that.
Mark?
Abstaining.
Okay.
I'm not an aye.
Okay, so we have 4 yeses and 1 abstention. Okay, so let's move on to public comment. Christina, do you have any questions from the public?
I do. The first question is, due to class size averages, is there a need to add another section of 5th grade at Cherokee Elementary School?
What are the numbers on that one? Because we like, especially with the pandemic, the numbers have to be low.
Linda, would,
Linda, can you give us those numbers? Are they like, I think I remember seeing them being something like 23 or
Jackie,
24, which I thought was too high.
Linda should answer the question. I don't know why they know the numbers. They should be answering this question. They're the professionals. Why? I don't understand this part.
So we follow the numbers and the enrollment all summer long. And when they get to a breaking point, we come to the board and ask for more positions when we need them. Right now, they are still under the budget guidelines. We have put in place for that 5th grade class, we put in teaching assistants, which is what the board directed us to do for the last few years when the number got to about 23 or 24 in each class. We've got that in place right now, and we watch all of our buildings and whether or not our enrollments are going to spike a little bit. So that's something we do all summer long, all of our buildings, not just Cherokee, we do it all over the place. And sometimes we actually collapse classes when the classes are gotten to the point where they're too few in the seats. So we will give you an update on where we are with enrollment, because really that's not something we would do right now. We would do that once we hit the next fiscal year.
Well, I have a question for you. Isn't this 5th grade class one of the largest? I think it's the largest in Cherokee altogether.
That are going through the system?
Yeah, I
There
think
used
it's
to
the
be- there
largest
used to
level,
be-
because I know that this
Am I
class-
muted?
Hold on, Lee, let me just finish this. I think that this is I'm almost positive that this is the grade that every year they've had to elevate a teacher with the class because of the class size. Dean, or you could probably answer that.
Give me a second. I'm on the PowerPoint on that right now. And Right now, there are 96 students enrolled moving into 5th grade. Our largest class is our 1st grade class right now, which is 103. But there are 96 students enrolled in 4 sections in 4th grade, and that would be rolling up to 4 sections in 5th grade.
This year, there was only 4 sections.
That's correct.
There used to be 1,100 kids in that school.
Now there are 508.
And it went down to 700. And it was that way for quite a while. And now it's down to 500. So we think it's up. Been around for a while. You realize the numbers have gone down.
Well, that I don't think is the issue. If you have to do this socially distancing, how are you going to socially distance with 25 kids in a class?
You're not going to
I
socially
think-
distance with 20 kids.
We don't have that yet.
We have been meeting as a group, a re-entry group, which is, I know, a public question that's coming up because the city put out their 3 different tiered plans, which is what all schools across New York are doing. Obviously, we're planning to be back full. Realistic or unrealistic, we're not sure at this point, but we're planning our regular opening. However, it may be that we've done our measurements in our classrooms, and most classrooms will fit 12 to 13 people if we have to socially distance, which would mean we would either have to do alternate days, alternate weeks, AM, PM sessions, but it really wouldn't matter if I have 20 in the class or 24 in the class. We would still have to break the class in half if we need to socially distance. And then, of course, if we're not allowed back at all, we would have to look at distance learning, which Mr. Middleman has been working with the Cta to discuss what that would look like in the fall. So we're looking at all 3 of those permutations, as well as every other school district on Long Island. And we will continue to look at class sizes and come to the board if the class sizes get to the point where they need to be broken into another section.
We actually, I thought, spoke last year about trying to keep the number under 22. And I
Great.
actually am more for 20, whether it's
Well,
Well, I
fourth,
think
fifth
that's the
grade,
budget
third
guideline
grade.
discussion, Jackie. I think that we have to put that through on the
Elementary.
budget guidelines this year and change that when we do
Yeah,
the budget
I
guidelines.
like small class sizes. We all know this, especially
agree.
for our elementary kids. These kids are going to be coming back to school after a pandemic, and they're going to have special needs. Some who've never had special needs before. So I'm asking for us to look into across the board, equity across the district for every elementary school to bring the numbers down a bit. I think we have the teachers to do it because this is exactly why I didn't want to do any sort of excessing, because I said I want to have smaller class sizes for the younger students, especially during the pandemic. I know everybody thinks I like to hear myself talk, but in reality, this is what I've always said I believe, and I've stuck by it 100%.
So we did the math for you at one board meeting. It was a while ago. If we went to 20 as our cap class size for elementary classes, we would need to hire 20 more elementary teachers. So that would be a significant impact to the budget. We looked at that for you folks. Staffing is dependent on their content area and what their certification is. So it's not like we can take an English teacher from high school when the class sizes get too small and say, go teach 5th grade. We actually gave you that number, that it was either 20 to 22 additional teachers in order to get all classes under 20. And in this fiscal area that we're in right now, and it doesn't match the budget guidelines, which I know Eileen just said, if we were to go to budget guidelines of every class size under 20, it would be a significant increase in the teaching staff at the elementary levels. And I'm not even sure that we have enough classrooms. So we would have to really look at how that might work. But we did speak about that, you're right, Jackie, months ago. And we said 20 to 22 additional general education elementary teachers would need to be hired to fill that
Well,
lower guideline.
can you actually do
Well, this
that
is-
again for our budget then? Because I want to see it. I want to see
And
going down
also,
to 22.
Linda, would this?
Because, hold on one
okay,
second,
I'll
Eileen.
wait.
What happens,
Okay.
I'll be done in 1 second. What happens with schools, and I've seen this happen in my own children's classes, when they have extra kids that enroll a month or two later. Now a teacher goes from having 24 kids to 26, which is what happened last year. Last year, there were elementary schools with 26 kids in them. That is unacceptable. I don't care if that's the budget. I don't care if that's the number that they say is lawful. What's lawful and what's right are not always the same thing.
Agreed.
And what I was going to say, Jackie, is also that's where we should look into the rezoning instead of the whole John Pearl closure. Are there extra classrooms there? Maybe we could rezone some and have some extra classrooms to lower the class size.
I asked for that last September, Linda, to you. I had asked to do the rezoning, if you remember, and you told me it had to be sent out or something to another company.
That's one of the things that you request as a long-term longitudinal study of live births and what the enrollment might be in the district within the next 5 to 10 years. That was something that was done by BOCES a few years ago. We did send that to you folks. Probably needs to be updated if that's something that the board is interested in moving forward with. I would just need the approval to go to BOCES and ask for another study on live births and enrollment out for the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, we have a lot of money that we want in reserves. Maybe we should budget some of that in there.
I think we should do it because I think with everything going on, it would behoove us to know what in the climate of everything, what's going to happen 5 years from now. If you're, Lee just said it, that Cherokee went
Why
down
don't
from
we wait?
1,100 to 500.
Linda, what
Why don't
normally
we-
is
Well,
that?
we should wait to see if the budget passes first.
Linda, normally, what does that study cost?
I would have to look that up, but it's at least I don't really want to give you a number because I think it's 11,000, but I have to really look it up and I'd have to ask BOCES what it would cost.
Okay, would you be able to just go get an estimate to see it, and then we'll see if the board will be interested in doing this?
Yes, I can certainly find out the cost.
Thank you. Was there another question from
Great.
public comment?
The next question was mentioned by Dr. Adams, and the question was, are any of the blended models of in-school and remote learning that New York City is considering being discussed for Connecticut?
So I've already answered that. All 3 of those models are being discussed.
The next question is.
Hey, can I just go back to that one? I want to just add on a question to that. So when they talk about the hybrid as potential platform, does that include, say, a camera that's focused on the classroom whiteboard or technology? Is that another means of a platform added when you talk about the hybrid?
So the question is, while there's 12 kids sitting in front of the teacher, is the teacher live streaming to the children that are home and vice versa on the alternate days? That's
correct.
a discussion that we would really have to have with the CTA leadership. There's also some issues with that as far as if we had multiple families, multiple children in the same family and having that live stream all the time. I don't know if everybody's Wi-Fi can handle those kind of live streaming. So we have to do a lot of research into whether or not that might work, or it's a teacher videotaping a mini lesson, and that mini lesson is more like a flipped classroom where they do a mini lesson for 20 minutes and those kids can see that over and over and over again. And then when they're in front of the teacher, they are doing more differentiated instruction, more small group lessons to go over what they learned on that video. That's another discussion. So all of these things are being discussed and talked about. And Suffolk County SUPs are coming together to put together their guidelines and the things that they believe will help make our students successful if we were to need to open with a hybrid, or if we were opening with a completely distance learning platform. They're working on that together to send that up to the governor as we speak.
Linda, so these talks are already happening with the CTA?
I'm going to ask Mr. Middleman to have that discussion.
So first, thank you for the revote. I greatly appreciate it.
Welcome back, Dean. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. So we've had conversations about closing up the year. We have not yet started the full conversations regarding what September will look like. In the last correspondence that I had sent you regarding the professional development that's currently going on, we are leaning more towards hybrid models to be able to have our teachers have that seamless transition from in-person instruction to remote instruction, so that we wouldn't have to lose similar to what we lost this past spring. So that's the direction we're starting to go, and those talks will start as soon as the year wraps up a little bit more for us, which is probably next week. But I will have updates periodically for you as we go forward.
So I have a question regarding the hybrid. If I'm hoping that's not going to be the platform. In some cases, this may work on the secondary level. I honestly cannot see how this will work on an elementary level. We have parents, sometimes two families that are working. We're going to have childcare issues. Are we going to extend scope for those that parents are now going back full time, and we're looking at a hybrid? I mean, I'm sure that there's different dynamics to this. I just can't see how on an elementary level this can potentially work.
And I
I think that's something.
too.
Yeah, that's something when we look at the different ages of our learners. That's something we definitely have to take into account. Is a hybrid model or a more remote model may be better for our secondary students as opposed to our younger learners. So it's something, I just want to say that everything is basically on the table as we're moving forward, trying to create the best environment so that it's good for our students, it's good for our families, and it's good for our teachers.
I sent something to you guys in an email, and in regards to Suffolk BOCES, and I know you got back to me, Linda, but I thought that, did anyone look into to see if any of that had any truth behind it? Do the children have to wear masks and for this summer? Because these are children with special needs too. I thought that was crazy.
So I sent you back what the CEO, Dr. Lutz of BOCES sent us. She is following the CDC guidelines and the New York State Department of Health guidelines as to what they're saying is the best thing for our students in the ESY, the extended school year program. So
But how are we not fighting that? How are we not writing New York State and writing the CDC to let them know? I mean, you guys would know better than me as an educator. How do you expect a child who has possible autism, who doesn't speak, who's nonverbal, is going to now wear a mask? Can't leave their seat?
Linda, I also sent you an email about that, and the answer from Dr. Lutz was not very filled with any solutions. So we really do need to know what we're going to do for these kids. I mean, there's a lot of things with them.
So what they're doing versus what we're doing, we're all following the same guidelines, and the guidelines that were also given to us by our legal counsel talks about students being encouraged but not required to wear face coverings, especially in the summer with the students with special needs. Some of the part of the summer program would be to help them figure out how to keep a mask on if that's even appropriate. So there's no suggestion that students need to be required to wear their face coverings. The staff must wear a face covering or an alternate PPE when within 6 feet of others. So when they're working in a small group with children and they're closer than social distancing protocols, they would be mandatory, the staff, but not the students. So that's the exact same guidelines that Eastern Suffolk BOCES is following with their ESY programs as we're following.
What about like the air conditioning? I heard that they can't have the air conditioning on, the windows open.
No, that's completely. It says ensure proper ventilation. How do you ensure proper ventilation if you
Right,
don't
that's
have
what I
air
thought.
conditioning ventilation? So I don't know where that original came from, but that was not from BOCES. They have yet to send out what their
I think that was the CDC guidelines.
No, well, that was actually a parent. A parent actually, I spoke to a parent, and a parent did post it on Facebook. And like I had said, I mean, I have to say this, a guideline is just a general rule. It's just a piece of advice. Guidelines are not something that's a law. There is a difference. So although the CDC, and we're getting stuff from the state that says it's a guideline, we need to decide if that guideline should be adhered to or utilized or not. Because some of those
Is there any legal
are-
ramifications if we don't follow the guidelines?
That's
So-
what I was thinking too. Is there, but also Linda, I just wanted to touch on, my grandson has sensory issues. He cannot wear a mask. So we're going to have children, elementary, secondary level, that do have that sensory that will not wear the mask.
Correct.
But going back to the PPE, so are we supplying, is the intent to supply fresh PPE every day?
So that's an interesting question. So we are mandated to supply PPE. It does not need to be brand new every day. It could be a face covering that could be washed. And as an employer, we're mandated to supply it in the form that we determine is the best. I know that Ms. Santo has been working with her nurses and with Dr. Gill, who is the district physician, to determine what is best for our students as we re-enter in ESY first and then in September. They don't believe that giving students something that's reusable may be appropriate. But we also know that when we move into the ESY, we do have kids, many with sensory issues. And again, the guidance says encouraged, not required for students. So that's what we're working toward. And, Dr. Lutz said to me quite clearly that she has not sent out anything to parents saying what the guidelines they are following are going to be, because they only just determined on Friday that they may be able to have enough staffing to actually do the program. So it was a little premature that the parent thought that she had gotten some guidelines, and those guidelines were certainly not the guidelines that Dr. Lutz expects to follow. She expects to follow the CDC guidelines, which talks about ensure proper ventilation, not keeping windows closed, social distancing of at least 6 feet where you're not wearing PPE. When you're in a smaller group and you're closer, you need to wear PPE, at least the adults. So all of that was premature on behalf of that parent. So I'm not sure where she got that information from.
But we did put $1.8 million in the budget for that, correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay, good.
That perfectly leads to the next question, which is what is the status of the CAP summer school program?
So, Mrs. Manzi, would you like to answer that question?
Sure. Since learning about a little over a week ago that Governor Cuomo would allow us to do in-house ESY, we've spent the last about week reaching out to staff and students alike to see if we can provide in-school summer school. And it appears at this point that we will be able to do that. We're in the final stages of planning and making sure we can properly staff it safely. We do believe we will be able to come out to parents on Friday, offering both a virtual and an in-house ESY program for both CAPS, which is our preschool, as well as our special education students K through 12.
The next question is, will there be a second vote if the budget fails? And is there a second budget in place?
Hello?
Whether there be a second budget vote is going to be a Board of Education decision. And I'm not sure that you folks may want to answer that until after the results are tabulated. That's completely up to you, though.
Well, what is the governor's guidelines? I think that's what people really want to know, because originally I thought that there was no way to do a second vote because there wasn't enough time, because you only had 1 week. And that was before he did this pushing of it a week forward. So I thought it was automatic right to the contingency as per the governor's executive order, because you only had the 1 week to reestablish what your budget would be and get it voted on and get the ballots made and all that prepared.
You're correct. And then he changed that. So now he's got an executive order that basically says you can have a second vote if you'd like. And it will be no sooner than July 9th. And he has not given the exact date. He was looking at that week and the next week. So it is possible if the board determines that they want to move forward with a different budget or the same budget or re-vote on the same budget. But as I said, you know, after he did change his guidance, Jackie, and at the last minute, of course.
Okay, perfect.
There's also a petition from NISBA, that's the School Board Association. They're petitioning to Governor Cuomo's office that if revotes after July 9th are possible, if they could possibly be in person, because the turnaround to do absentee ballots again for 30,000 voters for us would be really impossible with that time frame once again. So everything is changing day by day.
Thank you. Is there any further questions for public comment?
I have nothing else.
Okay. Let's move on to Schedule 1, resignations, terminations, leave of absence. Need a motion and a second. A motion.
Motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Lee? Jackie?
Aye.
Eileen? Lee and Eileen.
Aye.
Okay, so we have all 5 ayes in?
Yep.
Mylan, do
Okay.
you mind if I just take a moment? Because generally at this meeting, we say goodbye to the folks who are retiring at the end of the school year, and they have had such a large impact on our community. If I could just have 2 minutes to just read their names and thank them for their service. There's people retiring from every single department. If you wouldn't mind just giving me about 2 minutes to read their names. It's up to you though, of course, if you want me to hold off and not do that tonight.
Absolutely, please do.
So in our administrative ranks, Miss Patricia Murphy, who has been the AP at Cherokee for a significant amount of time, is retiring effective June 30th. The next few people are teachers, so I'm just going to give their department and their building, and I really can't thank all of these folks, including Miss Murphy, for their hundreds of years of service, the impact and the positive impact that they've had on all the lives of our students in ConnectBot. And I really just want to thank them. So Donna Barclay, who's a special education teacher at Cherokee, Rosemary Baldy, who is a YFS worker at the high school, Yvonne Bender, who's a nurse at the high school, Robin Benincase, who's a special education teacher at RMS, Elizabeth Byrne, who's a special education teacher at the high school, Patricia Dow, who's a reading teacher at Duffield, Laura Getman-Vacca, who is a speech therapist at Idle Hour, Penny Graziano, who's an elementary teacher at OBMS, Kathleen Martinez, who is a nurse at RMS, Jane Murphy, who's an elementary teacher at Slocum, Rosemary Ellers, who's a reading teacher at Slocum, Kathleen Hopper, who is a nurse at Cherokee, Dawn Long, who is a special education teacher at the high school, Kathleen LaPerligo, who's a librarian at Cherokee, Barbara Menino, who's an elementary teacher at Sycamore, Eileen McGinnis, who's a foreign language teacher at the high school, Gail O'Connor, who is a nurse at OBMS, Lorraine Pincus, who is a YFS worker at OBMS, Loretta Powell, who's an ENL teacher at Slocum, Loretta Rodriguez, who's an elementary teacher at Sycamore, Pearl Schwartz, who's a speech therapist at Sycamore, Patricia Snydstrup, who's an elementary teacher at Sycamore, and Claudia Stern, who's a family and consumer science teacher at RMS. Those teachers have made immeasurable changes in our children's lives and in our community, and I thank them very much for their service. We have clerical retirements. We have clerical retirements as well. Patricia Bonnicum, who's an account clerk at district office. Mary Jane Buddy, who retired early this year, district clerk at CO. June Erickson, who's a senior stenographer at OBMS. Jeannie Garcia, who is a senior office assistant at Boston. Karen Gialanza, who's a senior office assistant at RMS. Donna Griffo, who's a senior office assistant at the high school. Gabe Licciardelli, who is a system network specialist at district office. and Janice Mortati, who's a senior office assistant at OBMS. We also have the following custodial retirements: Marie Caramello, who's at RMS, Kevin Fox, who's at the high school, Jane Poggio, who's at John Pearl, Thomas Roberts, who's at CO, and Craig Ronson, who's Buildings and Grounds district-wide. Transportation retirements, we've got the following bus drivers who are leaving: Karen Bosser, Jean Camus, Maureen Lafredo, Sharon Moritz, and Steve Patterson. The following TAs are leaving us this year: Patricia Borick, who's at Cherokee, Jeanette Brown, who's at OBMS, Linda Calamaris, who's at OBMS, Joyce Lavigny, who's at Sycamore, Mary Martone, who's at Cherokee, Paula McGee at Duffield, Teresa Mortensen at Sycamore, and Linda Ziglioli at Boston. And we also have some food service retirements: Marie Caramello at RMS, Nancy Phillips at the high school, and Maria Stancampiano at Sycamore. So we're losing a lot of historical memory and a lot of folks who have done some great service for our kids. So thank you for letting me honor them just quickly with my voice tonight. I appreciate it.
I thank everyone for their service. Thank you.
Thank you all. Happy retirement.
Okay, we're moving on to appointments, tenure, salary changes. I need a motion in a second.
There's a lot that we have to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're tabling, let's just go through this. I have it written down. We are tabling Schedule 2, 5. It's FGHI.
Schedule, hold on.
FGHI.
Item 5, Schedule 2, Item 5, F, G, H, and I.
Right.
I don't think it's Schedule 2, Item 5.
Item 5.
Hold on.
I think it's FGHI. I don't know. It's a Schedule 2, FGHI.
Correct.
It's
Right.
B.
Schedule 2,
It's
Item
B.
5.
Oh, it is.
There's also-
Sorry, it's
it's-
5. Yeah, it's
It's
5.
Item 5, letter B,
Okay.
and F, G, H,
I.
and I, right, and letter
Right.
B.
And letter B, right. So B,
B, F, G, H, I.
correct. All
So you
right,
need
so
a
those,
motion and a second and a vote to table that.
okay, so I need a motion, a second to table
Motion.
5, B, F, G, H, I. I'll second that
I'll
motion.
motion that. I'll
all in
motion my
favor?
Lynn, that's Eileen.
Eileen.
Aye.
Okay, I,
Aye, Jackie.
Lee,
Aye.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Oh, that's you, Lee?
Mhm.
Okay, we have the 5 ayes to table. Okay, so excluding those that we are tabling, I need a motion, a second for the balance. I'll motion.
Motion. Second.
I'll second. Who's second?
Lee.
Aye.
Wait, so
Eileen says
Mylan,
aye.
wait, so hold on. Mylan and Lee are going to motion. Eileen, I hear an aye. I'm an aye.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie's and I.
Lee?
Aye.
Mark? Mark?
I said aye 3 times, but that's all right. Am I on mute again?
Yeah, you're probably on mute. I didn't hear you.
Okay, aye.
Thank you. Okay, I do see there is some items in Schedule 3.
Those
And
don't be voted on because those are the ones that were tabled up above. They were
Right.
requested by a board member to be pulled. So we can just table the whole schedule and not
Correct,
vote on the
that's-
schedule.
that's what I thought. Okay, I just want to confirm. All right, I need a motion, a second for the consent agenda for items
It's
2.
missing one on that, on Schedule 3.
Excuse me?
It's missing one on Schedule 3.
B.
We don't need to vote on it. Those were tabled in Schedule 2.
Yeah, it was already,
Okay.
it was already addressed in Schedule 2. Okay, so
Okay.
I need a motion and a second for items 2 through 26. We'll take
For
the
discussion?
motion. Right, we'll take the motion and for discussion. I'll motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, so if you, I know Eileen, you'll probably have a lot of questions, so mine are very quick if you don't mind. I just
Yep,
first very
that's fine.
quickly. The tree donation, I think that's beautiful. Beautiful sentiment, and I was very touched by reading that for the donation, the tree donation. The American Lifeguard textbook. We're offering lifeguard courses, Linda?
I can,
Yes, but yeah, Mr. Middleman will answer that.
so for the first year, we are offering a lifeguard certification course as part of our physical education classes. And we're very excited. We have one of our physical education teachers who is a certified instructor. Students they'll receive the American Red Cross. Once they pass the test, they'll receive the American Red Cross in lifeguarding, CPR for the professional rescuer, AED, and first aid.
Okay, and thank you, Dean. My last, actually, it's more of a comment for number 4, subject transportation 2020 scholarship. I just want to thank the transportation for their generous scholarship opportunity for our children. It was very generous. So, Eileen, you're next.
All
Can I
right.
ask,
So
can I go back on what, before you go on?
I'm up now, Lee. It's my turn.
It's going to be a
My
half
turn.
hour.
I do
I'll
like
be
to hear
2
myself
seconds.
talk.
I know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm sure you do know that. The tree, I did ask about it being a native to Long Island. Will it have any extra cleanup associated with it? What if it dies? Like what happens with the plaque? I just have those questions on that, and I think it's an awesome donation. I just have questions on that.
Well, I can help answer some of those questions. That tree, even though it's known to be in Washington, can grow here now because of climate change. I work for the Arboretum, and they're bringing trees that normally do not survive here now. They're planting. So in terms of the tree, I think it was a very good choice, very pretty tree.
But does it bloom? Does it have extra cleanup? These are the questions that I want to know. Are we going to be, is it going to burden
It's a cherry
buildings and
tree.
grounds?
Not really, no.
Is it those pink flowers?
They blow away. It's very pretty.
Is it the pink flowers? No one's answering me
Yes.
here. Is there extra
Yes.
cleanup, though? Don't you have to clean up those pink flowers that fall all over the place?
When they mow the lawn, it'll be cleaned up.
John, is that a problem for our custodians?
I don't envision it being a problem. We can absolutely find a location where it won't be an impact at all.
Okay, and what about, like if sometimes trees get diseases and they die? What happens then with the plaque and all that? Because I'd hate to see, that just disappear too. That's one of my concerns.
So anytime we have a plaque of and there's a couple of them throughout the district, and trees have not made it, and the plaque remains, on site, and there's no tree to, commemorate it. I mean, it wouldn't be a difficult thing to go back and add a tree in the future. A small tree is not really all that expensive, so I could, if that were to occur in the future, I could certainly reach out to the board and verify that they don't have a problem replacing it as need be. But I don't see it being an issue.
Okay. The textbooks, this is probably you, Dean. I think Lynn just brought it up. I did ask that in my email today, and you did answer me that the course takes place during the student's normal day. How many kids are signed up for this, though?
That's the only number I don't have for you. I will get that for you tomorrow.
I have that number.
Oh, okay, good.
There are currently 30 who have requested the class.
Okay. All right. And then it's, what happens to the kids that that are supposed to go in the pool area that's, when they have swimming? Is that scheduled around that?
Yeah, so it'll be.
How does that happen?
It'll be scheduled during the day as part of the regular physical education program. So it's, it's one of the spaces that we do use with, we do our 9th graders as well in the pool. But there is enough throughout the day to be able to schedule that into the program.
You're breaking up a little bit, sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't hear the last thing that you said, Dean.
There is enough time throughout the day during the pool.
Okay.
To schedule it during.
Okay.
There's also multiple lanes in the pool, so lifeguarding class would not interfere if we needed to put another class in at the same time.
Can I
Okay,
ask a
good.
question off that one real fast? Because it's my only question, Eileen.
It's still my time, but yes.
Only because I'll forget. It's my one question. If no, watch it. If you guys, Dean, this is probably for you. If you're able to do this lifeguarding class, which I think is great, if the kids are interested and it's something good to have, why aren't we able to do a CPR class and get these kids all certified in CPR, which by far they will use in their future?
Well, that's part of the law now. We have to do that, Jackie.
I don't think that they get CPR, like the real
No, we're
CPR
supposed to do that in
certification.
the health classes. No, that's supposed to be done in the health classes.
They get trained, but they're not certified.
Oh,
Yeah,
trained,
so-
right. They're
So
trained in
that's
CPR.
that's what I'm saying. Why can't they get the certification? I get it. We have to get trained every few years. Why can't the kids get that training? Even if it's just once and they get certified once, it looks great on a resume, or it looks good for their colleges to say that they have this.
I'll look into that to find out what the additional requirements for the certification, what the cost of the district would be, and if there's any additional training for our staff. So I will have that.
Perfect. Thank you, Dean.
Don't they bring that dummy in?
It's the bodies that they use. Yes, yes, Lee.
They do that now.
Okay, can I finish my questions? Is everybody done now?
Yes,
Hello?
no, thank you, Eileen.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
It's all you.
The athletic trainer, that's on the consent agenda, right?
Yes.
Okay. So athletic trainer, I had some questions on that. Do we pay the AT through our, no, we pay it through a company that we contract with. And how many ATs are there? How many do we have? Because we have sometimes multiple games going on at once. You said that they're at all practices and games at the high school. What about away games? What about, how many are there to be at all these different fields?
So we have one that it works with our high school. They are stationed at our high school. They go between the fields for practices. And we go to other locations for contests.
I don't know why you're breaking up there, Dean.
It's better.
I'm not hearing Dean. All right, maybe it's just me then.
Is that better?
I'm on a phone, so I
Lee,
should
you
be able to
gotta
hear.
mute.
Yeah.
Lee's gotta mute herself. A few people gotta mute themselves.
If people, there's a TV on someone's house.
All right, so there is only one athletic trainer who is stationed at the high school. They supervise all of the practices and contests that take place there. When our teams go or athletes go to other locations, they have athletic trainers at their schools that then take over the responsibility for the health care of our athletes.
Okay, that sounds good. What was the other things? Oh, the one of the bids, and this is probably John Allen, one of the bids for athletic uniforms.
Not me at all.
Oh, okay. Oh no, then
That's
I don't know
me.
who this is. Okay, they were closed. One of the companies that we're appointing, they've been closed for the pandemic. What's going to happen if we need uniforms? Are they going to be backed up, or did we check into all that?
Yeah, I'm unaware of. I know there was one question that you had sent regarding a closure.
Yeah,
but that
that's
was,
the
I
same
think,
one as.
The sporting goods, the Lao Sporting Goods.
It has the same last name as other people.
Yes.
Okay.
I will find out about that. I was not aware of them being closed, but
there was a news article, a big news article, and they were interviewed in it, saying that they were closed and that they had the stock and, yeah.
I'll find out from Mr. Mallory and get back to you.
All right, good. And then the other thing is, what do we do with the uniforms after each season? Do the kids keep them? Do they turn them in? If they're turned in, what's done with them?
They are turned in and we recondition them so they're cleaned and repaired
Okay.
and then sent back to the district for that next time the students use them.
Okay, so when we buy new uniforms, it's to replace ones that were not able to be cleaned and reconditioned?
Yes, and at times we also then cycle those through some of the other other levels, whether it be JV or middle school.
Okay, good. The elevator bid, it looks like we only had one?
That is correct.
Why?
Well, if you look at the memo that Joanne Sharrett, the purchasing director, put together, she reached out to a number of contractors and was not able to solicit any interest for them to respond to the actual bid for the district. So we have one of two choices. We could deny it and not award this, or we can use a county contract of which there is an elevator company on, but the rates that they charge are more substantial than the rates that we were getting from this Eclipse elevator service.
Okay.
So,
you know how I feel about the bids.
No, I do, Eileen. The problem we run into is, no matter what we do, when we do a bid, we have to take an action on it. So even if I only get one response, we still have to take an action on it, either to approve it because we've done our due diligence and we've checked on it, or two, the board has to reject it. But either way, an action has to be made on that bid by the Board of Education before we can do anything.
Right. And I'm going to pull it for a separate vote, but it'll probably go through, but I'm just going to pull it for a separate vote because I have to stay consistent.
Totally can appreciate that. I absolutely can appreciate it. We can't make people bid, unfortunately. And, like I said, if you don't want to, if you don't feel like the bid was a fair representation of the district's needs, there are contracts that we have accessible to us, Suffolk County contract in particular, but it would be a more expensive process, and it is to the district's benefit to award this one. Not always the case, but this case it is.
Okay.
Eileen,
the recyclables.
Can you excuse me 1 second? Can you just excuse me one second? The items that you requested us to remove for separate votes have been removed and are on K, just so that you're aware. So you asked us to remove some items. They are so K.
They've already been all done. Okay. So then I'll just ask my questions for the public. So that's good. The recyclables and the non-recyclables. I did. That was my business for years. And I'm not really happy with the company that we chose. Also, I found out that the containers are all thrown into one truck anyway. So we're separating them, and then they're thrown into one truck.
Yeah, and I'm not 100%.
So that's a problem for me as well.
I'm not sure on that, though, because we have different days for pickup, so they don't pick up, like at the high school, we have 4 containers behind the building. They don't go down the line and pick all 4 containers up. They'll pick up 3 of the containers, which is the lunch service and everything else, and then the next day they come in and they pick up the recycling. So it may have the perception of all of them going at once because they are picking up, like middle schools have larger pickups for certain types of mixed trash, and they'll pick multiple containers up because of that reason. But they're not charging us. They're charging us for the split rate. If you look at the tally sheet between the two, they are giving us a pretty good number. And I think if we went back 3 years ago, and I apologize for not digging into this a little bit more, and I just have not been at my desk a lot the last couple days, but 3 years ago, we actually changed the process by which we throw out our trash. Everything used to be mixed trash 3 years ago. And through Joanne Sharrett's, purchasing office, they redefined the entire scope of work so that we do have the single stream recycling now. And it resulted in a substantial discount, reduction for the district. we're in that same category now. We were able to get 2 responses. We couldn't get any others.
Right.
I did see some of your concerns.
Mhm.
I didn't have a chance to investigate them to that extent, but I can tell you that every
Right.
container has their name on it. I've never noticed or seen any kind of subcontractor involved in the school district. I'm not sure if they do it elsewhere. I didn't get a chance.
Is it a sticker or are they magnetics?
No, they're painted on.
Okay.
Yeah, they're painted on.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I mean, some of the other questions, I mean, I never got a chance to ask each of the buildings, have you ever noticed a subcontractor picking up or anything else? I never got a chance to delve into that. But once again.
Well, I only just asked the question, so I didn't expect it to be.
No, I know, but
it's just something to watch out for, though.
I know, but it's such an important, it's one of the more important things. July 1, we don't have somebody picking up containers if we can't approve somebody, and it's a tough one. And I can appreciate your concerns. I do.
I don't even think I said to pull that one, so we're okay.
Okay.
And then the other ones were pulled. The Cpda MOA for separate vote, election workers, the fund reserves, settlement agreements, and employment agreements. So that's it. I'm done.
Do you want Ms. Villarreal tell you why we have that resolution on the agenda for the funding of the reserves, or are you okay with?
No, I spoke to her about it already.
Okay, so you don't want her to have that in public?
Oh, she can if she wants to, but I already. I mean, we talked about that.
I actually.
And I was emphatic about how I don't like funding the reserves, especially when we have all these unfunded mandates that might be coming down. We've already spoken about that, and I think she actually did talk about it in public.
We didn't.
But I mean, if you want to talk about it again.
We didn't even finish the items 2 through 26. I had questions about the fund reserve, so can we finish?
I know that could be the discussion that when we go to those ones. Those are all pulled for a separate vote anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I prefer that we have that. Let's just finish up 2 through 26, and then we can have that discussion. So
Okay, let me just go through 2 through 26 because everything was changed. So if you don't, just give me 2 seconds.
All right, so we have the motion on the table. I just need an aye for items 2 through 26. So I'm an aye.
Aye.
Lee's an aye. Jackie?
There is
Just give me
some of
1
those,
second.
yeah, some of those things I think I'm not sure if you guys pulled off what I am.
Oh no, I think we.
Checking items.
I think we did pull off. Yeah, if you look underneath on K, Jackie.
All right, no, then I'm good. I know I saw what you pulled off. Okay. As long as that's off, then yes, I'm an aye.
Okay, Mark?
Okay, I'm an aye also. I just looked through.
Okay, Eileen's an aye. Okay, so we have our ayes. Okay, so I need a motion, a second for items 2 through 8. We'll have our motions and then we'll have a discussion. I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so I would like to ask questions about the fund reserves. Do we need to have that discussion today, or can we wait until after the budget vote? I don't want to approve something until I have all the information.
I'm going to suggest that these were going to go individually. So number 2, I know you guys wanted to table anyway. So let's act on each one individually rather than going as a whole, because that was the reason I think that Eileen wanted them pulled so that they were individual votes. Am I incorrect, Eileen?
Correct. No, you're correct.
Okay, so
Thank you, Linda.
I know you guys wanted to pull off and table number 2. So let's work on number 2 because that's the Board of Education meeting schedule that you wanted to wait, and you've already voted on the reorg. So,
well, Linda, we provided that answer. We're saying July 7th and tabling the rest. So we're not going to revisit that until after the election.
Agreed, but it's item number 2 right now on this agenda, on number K, letter K. So Can you just vote to table this?
Okay, so I need a motion, a second to table item 2 on the consent agenda for
Except
K.
for the July 7th meeting.
Except for that, right, correct, which you've already voted on. This is just to table the rest
so
of the.
I'll motion that.
I'll second it.
Aye. Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Lee?
Yes.
Okay,
You
so
hear?
let's go to, yes, thank you. All right, so
Okay.
I need a motion, a second for the fund reserves. I'll motion.
Second,
So,
So I'd like to have a discussion on that. Can we just table this until we find out where the budget stands?
I agree with Mylene on that. I'd like to table it then.
Me
We
too.
would have to vote on this by June 30th. I changed the resolution and I added some wording at the end that the final amounts will be determined prior to setting the 2021 tax levy. That happens in October. And this is because we only have until June 30th for you to say yes or no to funding reserves. This
Well, we have plenty of
is,
time to set another meeting then.
We'll set another meeting.
so this,
Okay.
I just want you to be aware that this doesn't say you have to fund the reserves. This just allows you to, if in the future you want to. That's all that this is doing, is saying in the 1920 school year, if there's money left over, the board may want to fund the reserves. You never have to fund the reserves. So it really doesn't preclude you from saying yes tonight and then saying, no, we don't want to fund the reserves moving forward. It just allows you, if you want to fund the reserves.
I'd rather table it right now until after the count and all that's done.
Linda, I understand, and I understand why I'm tabling. I would really like to
Right.
get all information. I
Okay,
understand
so-
why it's there. I just would like to get more information.
I agree with you, Mylene.
Okay, so you need a motion and a second to table.
All right, so I motion that. I need a
I'll
second.
second.
I'll say aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mark, we need.
Mark.
Aye.
Okay, so we're moving on to the bid award recommendation for the elevator inspection and service repair. I'll motion that.
second,
All in favor?
Eileen is a no.
Eileen's a no. Mark?
Mark,
Give me I'll be back. Give me a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Lizzie,
say no as well. I'm gonna say no as well.
All right, so
I have
Jackie's
the
a
bid in
no.
front of me.
Okay, so we have 2 yeses, 2 no's. We're just waiting on Mark.
What was this for again, please?
The
Elevator.
transportation, elevator and inspection service repair.
I'm a yes. Okay.
Okay, so that passes. All right, moving on to item 5, MOA for CPDA retirement incentive deadline waiver. I need a motion and a second on motion. I need a second.
second,
Okay, all in favor?
I'm a no on this.
Aye.
All right, so we have, I'm an aye, Jackie's an aye, Eileen's a
What was-
no,
You-
Lee's and I,
Lee's an aye. This is, Mark, this is for the MOA for the CPDA retirement incentive. We have
The
3
what?
ayes for the MOA for the CPDA retirement. We have 3 yeses and Eileen, I believe, is a no. We're waiting on yours.
It doesn't really matter what you say, Mark.
It doesn't make a difference, but I was a no on that. I remember.
Okay, okay, so we have that. All right, moving on to the election workers for June 9th, 2020. Annual meeting, budget and vote for school board election. A motion.
second,
Okay, all in favor? I'm an aye.
Aye.
Lee's an aye. Jackie's an aye. Mark, Eileen?
Eileen, Mark. Oh, Jackie said yes, 3 yeses.
Yes, I just need Mark and Eileen.
Oh, I said no.
And I don't know why, but you're coming in like broken up, so I don't hear exactly what you say. I'm sorry.
I'm saying no.
Okay, Eileen is, it's Mark, it's for the election workers for the June 9th, 2020 annual meeting, budget vote and school board election. So we have Jackie, myself and Lee voted yes. Eileen voted no.
I'm a yes. All right,
Okay.
all right. I don't hear you because you're breaking up for some reason when you're coming through my phone, but yes, that's fine.
Okay.
I
That
already
date,
said-
should that date be changed to June 16th?
Yeah, so, you know, that was a good thing you said that, Lee. I was just thinking something wasn't looking right with that.
Change the date and see, yes.
And Linda, I would also extend it because we don't know if this is going to be 1 day, 2 days, or 3. Linda,
Yeah, the counting commences on June 16th and it moves forward until it's done.
okay,
So
but we
that's-
still have to change the date. It's June 9th here. It should be June.
Just say as amended.
Oh, okay, so canvassing of ballot, but it says canvassing of ballots will commence on June 16th. You want it to also say
Says
will
that.
be held on Tuesday, June 16th?
The way that it's written on the agenda, it says June 9th.
Okay, so we'll do that as amended then. We'll amend it to the 16th. It does say the 16th further down in the resolution. It just,
Gotcha.
it says it, actually, I got it. Okay, so we're changing that to the 16th for both of them.
Correct,
Thank
thank you. All right, moving on to the settlement agreement. That's item number 7. All motion. I need a second.
Second,
Okay, and all in favor? I'm a yes.
yes.
Lisa, yes.
I'm a no.
Jack- Eileen's a no. Jackie?
I'm looking to see which one that is because I have all the paperwork in front of me.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second.
While you're doing that, Mark?
Is that the one we discussed with number 24, the 24th?
Yes,
Is
yes.
that what?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Okay, so we got the, yeah.
As
all right,
long as
so-
it's exactly what we said, Mylan?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, that's
You
the
know,
one I'm
you-
gonna abstain. I'm gonna abstain from that.
Okay, so we have 3 yeses, 1 no, and one abstention. Okay, we have the employment agreement. That's number 8. So I need a motion and a second.
I'm gonna say I want to table that until we enter into discussions.
Yeah, I thought we said we were gonna,
Okay, yep. Yes, we did say that. Okay, so I just need a motion and a second for table.
I'll motion it to table.
I'll second
that.
it.
Jackie seconds.
no, I thought
All-
that's what we said, actually.
Yes, yeah, we had to table in person. Okay, so I have all 5 for a table.
Yes.
Lee,
Yeah.
Jackie, I heard you say yes, and Mark is yes. Okay. Okay, on that note, we are done for the night. Linda, will the district clerk be providing, I know in previous
Mylin,
years, we would get
Are we going back to executive for number 8?
Sure, if you like to, yes.
I didn't know if we were,
Yes, if you like to, yes.
to get a list of things for the
Sure,
attorneys, right?
sure.
Okay. Thank you.
So Linda, in the past, the board was provided, I think every hour, how many counts of votes that were coming in. We didn't get any decisions. We didn't know how the votes were landing, but we did know that by 10 o'clock, 100 votes came in and counted and so forth. What are we doing in this particular situation?
Well, no, we know how many votes came in, over 6,000.
Yes, I understand that, Lee, but what I like to know is how many for every hour, how many votes are counted? So for 1 hour was 10
different.
votes. Yeah, that's what I'm asking, Lee. So Linda, will the board get a count of how many votes are counted per the hour?
So we didn't ask Ms. Kemp about that. I have nothing to do with the vote at all. And as you know, it's something that's done out of the district clerk's office. We could certainly ask her, to approximate. I'm not sure where, I don't know how we would go about doing that, except looking over the people's shoulders as they're counting, because I don't know that they're tabulating as they're counting. So I
Okay.
could find out if it's possible.
Well, at least give us an
certainly
idea.
check.
20% was counted, 30% or 50% of the votes are counted, at least.
So I can contact Jessie and find out what she can give us, at least at the end of the night when they close up, she might be able to give us where they kind of are in the ballot counting at that point, because I know there's 2 districts around us that are already done counting, and both of them had their budgets passed. I won't give who they are, but there are 2 districts that are within the ISLIP cluster that have passed with over 70% of their voters. So congratulations to them, but I will certainly find out if when they close, if Jessie can give us kind of an idea of where they are with the count. We can certainly see if we can get that.
Yeah, because I like to get an indication if we're 2 days away, 1 day away from finalizing.
Okay, I can get that from her.
All right, so I'm gonna need a motion in a second to.
Wait, Linda, we
end-
got in about 7,000 ballots, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna need a motion and a second to exit out of public session. I'm also gonna ask for a motion and a second to enter into executive session, to have a discussion on a contract. So let's
I'll
first,
motion.
yeah, let's first move out of, public, so,
I'll second
Eileen.
it. Jackie will second it.
So Jackie and Eileen, motion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so if you want to stay in this room and we'll just ask the folks who are not part of executive
Well,
session.
then we have to go, and you
I
have to
would-
turn off the live.
Yeah, I would prefer that if we can go back into our other link, so that
Okay.
this way
Yeah.
nothing gets taped.
Okay,
Right.
Is it possible to go into the other link?
and we don't need any of the cabinet members, correct?
That is correct.
No, right.
Okay.
So
Good
can
night,
we go
cabinet
into,
members.
so Linda, can we go into the other link with any, problems?
Yeah, I'm a host